Hello, my name is Autumn and I hate talking in front of people, so I decided to record my presentation instead. I wrote my paper over genetic testing, specifically from conception to infancy. I started my research by reading chapters 3 through 7 of the textbook. I found a lot of great information on genetic testing and found that it usually starts with a genetic counselor. According to the textbook, genetic counseling focuses on helping people deal with issues related to inherited disorders. This process follows with a physical examination and an in-depth review of the family medical history of both the mother and the father. With this information, they can form what is known as a karyotype. A karyotype is a photo of each set of chromosomes of an individual. By looking at the chromosomes, you can detect any chromosomal abnormalities and also determine the sex of the baby. So there's a couple different types of genetic testing that I researched. First, I wanted to talk about invasive testing. Invasive testing includes chorionic villus sampling and amniocentesis. Both of these types of genetic testing are known to be harmful to the baby. They both involve retrieving amniotic fluid that surrounds the baby and are done at different times throughout the pregnancy. Amniocentesis is typically performed between 15 and 20 weeks into pregnancy, and CVS is done at 10 to 13 weeks. Like I said before, these tests are known to be harmful to the baby and can actually cause miscarriages. When used with an ultrasound, it's significantly less common. Something I found very interesting in my research is that there is a different type of testing that is a lot safer for the baby. Non-invasive prenatal testing is a revolutionary method of genetic testing that analyzes cell-free DNA. It could potentially replace invasive genetic testing. Though it seems like a no-brainer to choose this method, there are setbacks. False positives and false negatives are common with NIPT, and unfortunately not all tests are successful. One of the setbacks for universal genetic testing are the ethical issues. It's evident that stress and well-being are affected during the process of deciding on genetic testing. There's also a possibility of discrimination that could be shown throughout employers in the workplace. It's been discussed that government regulations should be put into place to protect anyone who may be informed that they could potentially inherit a genetic disorder. Genetic testing is most commonly seen in pregnancies before the baby is born, but is becoming more familiar to test newborn infants, particularly with epilepsy. Genetic testing has been studied and researched to significantly improve testing for epileptic patients. Though genetic testing cannot cure epilepsy and stop seizures, it can provide a more accurate test and avoid other unnecessary treatments. More recently, many people are seeking testing to determine if they themselves are carriers of disorders. Some disorders are much harder to identify because symptoms don't appear until adulthood. For example, Huntington's disease does not show its symptoms until approximately age 40. By this time, many people have already started having children and have already passed down the abnormal genes to their kids. The last thing I wanted to discuss was spontaneous mutation. This occurs when genes are broken down from wear and tear, or something goes wrong during cell division. This can cause chromosome disorders that aren't necessarily passed down from generations. There are also environmental factors that play a role in certain disorders. For instance, sickle cell anemia is very common in West Africa, with 1 in 10 Africans carrying the gene. This unfortunate disease causes people to die at a young age. It's possible that disorders can be contracted solely based on geographical location. In conclusion, genetic testing can be used throughout the life to determine any chromosomal abnormalities that could be passed down from generations. This could help mothers prepare for a baby who could potentially be genetically abnormal. With new technological advances, researchers can determine these disorders early on in life. Not only is this an amazing tool for testing fetuses, but it can also help anyone who is curious about their own genes and considering reproducing. There will always be ethical setbacks to medical screening, but this is a great option for any worried mother. It's becoming more and more safe for infants by reducing miscarriages through non-invasive testing. Genetic testing should definitely be an option for anyone.